Isak there. Let's get a bit more on his future. We know Liverpool are huge admirers, and their all-time leading scorer, Ian Rush, unsurprisingly, would love to see Isak at Anfield next season.
I think every club in the world would love to sign him. The way he performed last season was incredible. I watched him when in the Carabao Cup final when he played against Liverpool. He was most probably the man of the match. I think every club in the world would love to see him. No one knows what's happening. I don't know what's happening and all that. But I think if he was available, I'm pretty sure every club, every top club would like to sign him. Everyone wants to beat Liverpool this season. Last season, people were not seeing Liverpool as a major strength. And that's why we need to get a stronger squad. And I think last season we only signed one player, and all the fans were saying, "Oh, we should sign 4 or 5." Proved we only needed one player. This season we need maybe 4 or 5 new players, and that's what they've done. And in all credit to the owners, they've given the manager the money to do that.
Ian Rush there. All right, James, we know Liverpool want Alexander Isak. How do they make it work financially?
Why did I know you were going to ask that question? It's a question on everybody's lips right now, though, isn't it? Look, I think we can look at Liverpool right now and we can look back on the last few transfer windows. Last 2 transfer windows, they signed one player, Federico Chiesa, for £10 million. So we know their outlay hasn't been so big. FSG has been criticised quite a lot in the past for not investing more money in Liverpool, not making big signings, but they run the club very prudently. We know the money's there. The reason why we know the money's there, let's go back a couple of seasons. Moises Caicedo, before he went to Chelsea, Liverpool were bidding over £100 million. They had money to spend. They were willing to spend big money on the right player. This is a club, and Richard Hughes, now in as sporting director, is not panicking on decisions. We know the club were very close to agreeing a deal with Martin Zubimendi. It didn't happen. They didn't panic last summer and go out and try and rush and sign a number 6. They just recruited internally, Ryan Gravenberch dropping back in, and it worked perfectly for them. But the success Liverpool are having now on the pitch, Premier League champions, brings in larger sponsorship deals. We know as of August 1st, they have a new kit sponsor in Adidas, 10-year deal. That's big, big money that's coming in. They have run so well right now that they have the money to spend. Not only that, they still have players within their squad that will recoup big transfer fees because the performances on the pitch have been so good, those players have improved and the transfer value remains high. The likes of Luis Diaz, we might get to, Darwin Nunez, Harvey Elliott, who all could depart Liverpool this summer and recoup some big money in.
I think when you ask the question, how can Liverpool do this? This question seems to always be asked by the rivals of Liverpool, because they're looking at them quite enviously. And the reason that they're looking at them quite enviously is, touching on what James has said there, they are fantastically well run. He talked about not only hardly spending any money last summer, they actually recouped £40 million. People forget the likes of Bobby Clark and Sepp van den Berg brought them in money that effectively gave them a profit in last summer's transfer window. This summer, they've still made sales as well. Quansah's gone, Kelleher's gone. They even got £10 million for Trent Alexander-Arnold. So that's another £60 million. And the players that James mentioned, how much would Diaz, Nunez and Harvey Elliott bring in? You're talking in excess of 100 to 150 million pounds there as well. And you've got to remember, Mike, how PSR works. They may have spent 300 million pounds so far and maybe counting as well. But it's not 300 million pounds that goes off in this financial year. Effectively, you're going to have a 300 million pound spend it's amortised over the length of the contract. So you might see 20 to 25% of that amount go in this one year. So you're looking at around 60 to 70 million pounds maybe going this year. Now, if they've recouped 60 million pounds from Kelleher, Quansah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, we do know the way PSR works, that 60 million, even though it will be paid in instalments, goes straight into their books. So if Liverpool, for example, were to sell these other players and they made, I don't know, 100 to 145 million pounds or 150 million pounds in this transfer window, you could actually argue that 150 million pounds coming into the club could enable you to buy 3 or 4 or 5 players worth 80 million pounds, because only a certain percentage of that huge fee is going out per year. That's why Liverpool are able to do this. Mark McAdam was talking about this last night. on Sky Sports News, and he said he'd spoken to one financial expert who said that they can go again, Liverpool, without selling anyone. That's how well run they are at the moment, which is why every rival club is asking, how are they doing this?
19 Premier League clubs fans head in hands at what you've just said there. Newcastle not having much luck, are they, Dharmesh? Because they look like they might lose their star player. They're also struggling to get people in, and one of those, a goalkeeper. Tell us what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, this one is a little bit unfortunate for Newcastle because of the way this one has worked out. If Newcastle United had probably gone for the player we're talking about, James Trafford, the Burnley goalkeeper, much earlier in this transfer window, they probably would have...
After the Sweden striker said he wanted to explore his options this summer. As we know, the Premier League champions Liverpool made an informal approach for Isak last week and are huge admirers. Isak, not part of the Newcastle squad that arrived in Singapore for a pre-season tour. The club said he was left at home with a minor thigh issue.
We want to keep our best players, I think is my point. So what I want to say to you is that I don't know what this club is seeing. For what we know, Isak is injured. He's not been training for, I don't know, 5 days. So he stayed there to take himself better with better equipment. So he's there, a small injury. Of course, he's a top player. We know everything is going around him, but yeah, I don't know. What we know is Isak is staying there to do some physical treatment. Yeah, Isak is a top striker. I think his last 3 seasons speak by itself, a top player. But as soon as I know, he just stayed there because he's injury. He's take treatment with the club. Have many equipment to get him ready. We know all the situation behind him, but this is not to me to speak about. I'm just a player. It's something that the club will take care.
Right, who wins this, Dharmesh? The player wants to explore his options. Newcastle don't want him to go. Who wins?
If we look at this at face value, first of all, Newcastle United are holding the cards here. That's simply because of the contract situation for Alexander Isak. He's still got 3 years left on that contract. However, Newcastle United, make no mistake about it, they have got an issue here, and a big, big issue. Publicly, yes, it's a minor thigh problem why he's missing this tour, but we do know that he wants to explore other options in this transfer window. Now, Newcastle United can't bury their heads in the sand. They're not going to do that either, because whether they like it or not, and whether they want to or not, they will have to start thinking about life after Alexander Isak if a deal is going to get done for him to leave Newcastle. For him to leave, it's going to take the thick end of £150 million. That's what we think, which is a lot of money. So there's not going to be many clubs who are going to be able to go into the market and buy Alexander Isak. So while this saga rumbles on, because that's what it's turning into now, Newcastle will, of course, look at other options. Brentford's Johan Wissa. They've made a bid, £25 million. That's been rejected. There's every expectation that Newcastle United would go back in with an improved offer. They've also explored the conditions of a deal for that man as, again, the RB Leipzig striker, Benjamin Sesko, maybe one to visit towards the end of the transfer window as well. But, you know, if you were to compare what football is like now compared to a number of years ago, I don't think it's as simple as, right, this player's under contract, he's going nowhere. As much as clubs want to have that power, and maybe they can still exercise that power, they are constantly thinking 2 or 3 years ahead, particularly because of the financial rules that are imposed on clubs and complying with profit and sustainability rules. So if he stays, Newcastle's still got a decision, because are they going to see the best Alexander Isak, or are they going to see an Alexander Isak whose head has clearly been turned by the interest being shown in him in this transfer window? Are they going to be able to command, rather, £150 million if Isak stays, doesn't have as good a season as he did last season, and then enters next summer with just 2 years left on his contract, and he doesn't sign a new contract?
And this is a club that's not been able to spend money as well, isn't it?
I think that's my point, really. I think if you're Newcastle, you're looking at the PSR rules, you're struggling with it, with the ownership model. They've got huge funds, investments behind them, not able to actually do anything with it. Well, you might actually be able to turn this into an opportunity, to invest in the squad. As Dharma said, £150 million is a huge sum of money. Mentioned Johan Wisser, mentioned Šeško. Remember last year, they were trying desperately to recruit Mark Guehi. They want a centre-back. Does that give them the opportunity to invest in a top centre-back as well? Well, actually, 3 top players to replace, yes, he's a superb player, and Alexander Isak, may help Newcastle United move forward in the way they need to move forward, especially with Champions League football.
Listen, we've got to go to break. We've got to go to a break. Hold it, because we're going to come back to this. I promise you.
Casi a producto nuevo por semana, producto bonito que, por supuesto, pues siempre invitamos a la gente a que consuma. Si queréis encontrarlo en kingsleague.pro, pues ahí tenéis las nuevas chaquetas training y también esas camisetas especiales con detalles dorados que llevan todos los equipos.
Oye, ustedes tendrán más memoria que yo, pero ¿cuánto quedaron la última vez que se enfrentaron ellos?
3-4 ganó 1K.
3-4.
En el histórico de estos dos equipos, el que gane desempata, porque han ganado 2. El X-Boyer Team ha ganado 2. 1.
Becker se lleva el rebote. Becker para marcar. Becker. El rechazo de Arnaldo.
¡Vamos! ¡Vamos!
¡Gol!
¡Vamos, Pablo! ¡Qué suerte!
Mascarra en el Cooper Arena. Gol de Pablo Becker. Toro físicamente.
No será capaz,
Roger.
¿no? ¡No será capaz! ¡Qué cabrón!
A ver
Si
salen
sacan
dos.
más de 3, se quedan sin trabajo. Mira,
¡Hombre!
muy bien. ¿Cómo
Bien.
valoran el trabajo? Bien.
Ahí está ese ataque por parte del X-Boyer Team. El toque dentro de Becker. Puede marcar Carbó. ¡Gol!
¡Vamos!
¡Gol! Pablo Becker. Becker que quiere poner el centro por delante. Finalmente lo pone por detrás del defensor. Carbó la pisa. Carbó.
No jodas.
¡Es el mejor de esta puta competición!
Por algo es el Corona de Oro. China la juega atrás, no se decidió a tirar. Granero busca su perfil, Granero.
Golazo.
¡Gol! De 1K. Marca Granero. Y sí, otra vez lo ha vuelto a hacer. Buller, mira. No,
Gol doble. Gol doble, claro, porque tiene sanción. Ah, claro, vale.
Sanción, efectivamente. Grande. Claro que sí. Bueno, sinceridad ante todo. Ahí está. Juanma el toque. ¡Gol!
Vale.
¡Velilla!
¡Vamos!
¡Gol! Balón que lleva ahí Pluvins el disparo. ¡Gol!
Vale.
¡Gol!
Me gusta.
Está haciendo un buen trabajo defensivo, ojo.
¡Granero!
¡Uy, qué golazo!
¡Qué chicharro de Mar Granero! ¡Qué barbaridad! El recorte de zurda y el disparo con la derecha. Que la metió en la escuadra. Ojo ahora que ataca el X-Boyer Team. ¡Gol! ¡Del X-Boyer Team! Va a pegar Fuad en la falta.
Santa madre de Dios. Sí.
Vamos a ver ahí esa pelota dentro del área para Juanma, que lo puede matar. ¡Gol!
2 de Juan.
Sí, no podía ser otro que Roger Carbó. No sé si te imaginabas que tu vuelta iba a ser de esta manera.
La verdad que no, o sea, ha sido la vuelta ideal. Hat-trick, partido de octavos y mañana jugamos cuartos, o sea, ha sido ideal. Aunque el trabajo no, o sea, me lo llevo yo, pero el trabajo es de todos. Hemos trabajado mucho y al final los resultados se han visto reflejados en el campo, así que muy contento.
Parecía o puede parecer que sois el rival más débil por todas las bajas, pero en los pasillos se comenta que nadie quiere enfrentarse a vosotros.
Bueno, a ver, yo escuché una persona que dijo de Gigantes que quería enfrentarse a nosotros, así que mañana a las 9 no te preocupes, que estaremos aquí con muchas ganas, y más después de esas declaraciones. ¿Sabes por quién voy?
Yo no lo sé quién es.
No lo voy a decir, esta persona lo sabe.
Bueno, pues enhorabuena.
Muchas gracias.